Pressing that with the elections department, through subsequent monthly meetings, etc., was that the numbers that I was able to ascertain, we had more voters on the active voter rolls than we did of the population of the entirety of Fulton County, and then extrapolating for those of voting age. So that became a major concern of mine. And frankly,
every day I wake, I make my mind up. I'ma be the one, be the truth, be the way. Yeah, every day I wake, I make my mind up. Gotta keep my mind on the because they only telling a side of the story. Out here telling lies like they on Maury. Them poor rich kids get their money on phone it. But down here in the hood, yeah, we know Forex. We growing up, yeah. We got the good. Good of them assets, good of my bag. Get rid of cash before the whole market crash. A news flash, just a flash from the past.
Peace to the party. It's your homeboy back again with the news. So we're going to get straight to it. All right, we're going to do a little something different today. So we already been covering what was going on with Fani Willis, right? But the whole play with Fani Willis was she became known in the media because of her prosecuting the Donald Trump case. All right, so let's stay on top of this because whether that was a distraction, whatever the case may be, it highlighted that particular portion of what was going on. But let's make sure we stay true to what the real mission at hand is to break down this case. So that's what we're going to do today. Some came out, the election board, they met up, right? They had a meeting and now they're being called to testify as a part of the trial that's going on, right? Because there is an election board who is in charge of certifying that all the votes that were tallied within their district, region, state, whatever may be, are legit. So I want to play this for y'all because it's pretty interesting, the stuff that they are, this particular guy named Mark that is breaking down. Is real interesting what he had to say. All right, so I'm gonna bring it to y'all first. I'm just a homeboy. I ain't gonna speak out of turn. We're gonna go right to the source, hear from what they said directly, and then we're going to break it down. Now, keep this in mind. For those of y'all who don't really know, you may have only came because of Fani Willis. Trump is being charged for unlawfully conspiring to rig the election, basically. All right, this is what they're saying went on in the state of Georgia in 2020. All right, so let's get to the video, and then we'll come back and we're going to break it down as we go. So let me get it loaded up on the screen.
And continued even after.
So let's take it right back where we started and let's rock.
So that became a major concern of mine, and frankly, lasted throughout and continued even after the 2020 election. So that was a big issue, and of course, inside that 2020 timeframe, really there was nothing done to. Wasn't time, and I understand all of that, but there was nothing done to answer my questions on that. And that I thought, well, look, it's only fair to the voters of Fulton County that we're having clean voter rolls here, so that nobody's vote is disparaged because somebody may have come in and voted that frankly, legally should not be able to. So I think that's very, very important for them to be Fulton County or anywhere in the country. But from that, in the 2020 election itself, I had and other board members had requested that we obtain the chain of custody documentation from the department. And none of that was ever delivered. It was not delivered at. All
right, so let's make sure we're on the same page. This gentleman on the election board, okay? So he says him and others on this board are asking for the chain of custody, meaning whose hands did these votes pass through? There's a process, obviously, that they go through. He's asking, where is that? So this is how he's starting off describing it. This is a normal protocol for them.
The time of request leading up to the election, and was certainly not given. We weren't giving any. Was given nothing. Even leading up to the certification.
Let me interrupt you right there, Mr. Wingate, and ask to explain for the committee what you mean by chain of custody documents.
Okay. In the election staff, we had many components in many areas where absentee by mail ballots were being delivered to, and then picked up and then centralized to the processing center. And then, of course, there's documentation so that whoever is handing those envelopes, in that case, off to, then it's there to sign off that they've delivered to this person, and the transportation or transport of those documents, which goes on daily, in case you're not familiar, in the election cycle. And then once they are delivered to the location that they're destined to, there is another signature required on a document that shows that, where it was picked up, driven to, delivered to, and then signed off on as received. And this is going on for multiple locations daily. And, in terms of the memory cards that are being delivered so that they can be kept, in security, there's the same level chain of custody documentation that is delivered for all of the memory cards coming in from early voting locations, and of course on election day from each of the precincts.
All right.
So that's fundamentally what that encompasses.
All right, that's great. Thank you very much. I interrupted you to get that, so pick back up where you were talking about asking for and not receiving chain of custody documents.
Okay, well, that, since we asked and did not receive any of it, that to me is just one reason. Well, how can I trust, as a board member, to certify this election when I cannot receive even a sampling, anything at all with regards to chain of custody documents? So that was just another one of the things in my mind leading up to certification that was something that certainly was not fulfilled. There was also for that election, the advent of this whole Dropbox circumstance was unveiled, and then we had, I think Fulton County, we had like 36 or so Dropboxes located around the county, and these Dropboxes at that particular point were set outside of an early voting location, which means that they're in the elements. They're 24 hours a day, but there were surveillance cameras as required.
Okay. So he said a lot. Let's break some of this down. So he said first that this new advent, right, of these, basically think of like the mail, right? You got those, the different stations where you can drop your mail in, and it's picked up at a certain time by the post office, and they do what they do, right? So they had a similar version, okay? Well, I think he said over 30 something within Fulton County that they had people at any time could go in and drop their vote. Why is this important? This is COVID, you know what I'm saying, going on during this time. We in the pandemic. You feel me? So everything was different. So now this whole new process of being able to, because obviously during what was going on then, a room full of people to vote, they wouldn't want that, right? Per se. So now they had these new ways that you can go drop your vote in, but on the back end, these folks need to be able to certify where they came from. So let's make sure we walking together now. They say they got cameras out there to check it. It's routes and timed. It's supposed to be a whole process for this to work. All right. So this is what he's saying right now.
That supposedly, were operating 24/7 so that they could be monitored, and anybody tried to do any damage or anything
You see, he said supposedly.
nefarious to any of those locations, that could be looked at, and hopefully somebody sent out there to secure the situation. But we'd ask for not every surveillance tape, but ask for to see surveillance tapes on a basically, whatever. Just give us some samplings of that so we can take a look at it, because I knew that this was going to be an important issue because of all the hullabaloo that any of us that were alive in those days, was witnessing as being an issue. And from that request, again, to just, the way in which it turned out, there was never one surveillance tape, an inch of footage that was ever delivered to the board.
What?
And if,
Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
Bro, did you hear what he said? So now we talking about, this is an election. This is important, right? He just said that he was asking for the footage specifically related to these mail-in votes, these different receptacles that can be used, because anybody can just go fill them up, right? This is why they will want to have cameras. They will want to have cameras for this exact reason. Make sure it was actually an individual placing a vote and not nothing nefarious. You feel me? That's their whole job on the line. He ain't trying to sign off on that. So make sure y'all track what he's saying now. All right, let him keep going.
if it was delivered to anybody, it certainly was not any board member that I was aware of or made me aware of. So that was what was another issue. The other issue we had down here was this whole questioning of ballots underneath a table and then being pulled out on election night, excuse me, at State Farm Arena. Well, we did see on television, by the way, we did see that surveillance tape. And of course, I, as a board member and knowing most all of those people who were in that room that night, I didn't make any judgment as to what was going on. I had no basis to do that. But I did see it. And of course, I asked the questions of our director. And this was, I believe, the day following Election Day. And, his response was, well, he just hasn't had time to look into this, but he will and get back to us. Well,
of course,
there was nothing ever gotten back to, at least to me as a board member, that had any explanation of that election night at State Farm Arena. And we got to certification and there was still no response to that. Did not know, still being investigated exactly. Well, I think the director, in my opinion, and still believe that to this day, could have, stated, look, I've talked to everybody and this is what transpired. I firmly believe that should have been done by the then director, but it was not. And the last thing was, well, not the last thing, but the big, what I call the four,
not the last one,
4 or 5 things that prevented me from certifying was we had such a huge number of absentee by mail ballots. And
okay, so why does this matter? He said it had a huge number. Okay, pay attention here.
And those ballots, we as the department and the board, and then the board of commissioners who has to approve, certain expenditures, because it was, becoming very clear that there was going to be a larger amount of absentee by mail ballots this election year than
because of the pandemic,
by far, than in previous years. So they determined a system that is called Bluecrest. And the Bluecrest platform primarily was an absentee by mail or a paper ballot processing.
We're going to get to this in a second. Blue Crest. Remember that, y'all. Blue Crest.
Application. And that would, scan in the outer oath envelopes. It would open them. It would then pull them out. It would flatten them, as they call it, and then put them in bundles for, for later processing and scanning. Part of that, or one of the applications or elements of that Blue Crest platform, was an electronic signature verification component. And of course, we all, as that was reported, we all thought that that was going to be up and running, and how, how exactly that the department of people there for managing the absentee by mail ballot processing would have a very fine function in the electronic signature verification component. Well, as I recall, I believe that time frame was in October at the board meeting for October. I had asked the question, where are we with regards to the functionality of the electronic signature verification component? And I was told that the technicians from Blue Crest were in our building that day, and that they were working to functionalize the electronic signature verification component. Well,
functionality and functionalize. What's the plain English meaning of that?
Meaning getting it to work.
So he making sure that it's plain and clear that at this time it was still not working. This is what he's saying right now. So your homeboy with the news, I did some research. So let me show you what it's supposed to look like. Blue Crest, right?
Rise. The demand for mail ballots has never been greater. Blue Crest ReliaVote solutions accurately assemble and track mail ballots, essential for integrity of voting by mail. Let's look at ReliaVote's closed-loop process. ReliaVote software leverages a one-to-one ballot preparation process to ensure integrity and provide an audit trail. It securely interfaces with the voter registration system and file to access the unique voter and ballot identifiers. A barcode is assigned to each ballot type and each ballot package to ensure accuracy. It also assigns unique USPS Intelligent Mail Barcode, or IMB, for tracking. ReliaVote printing solutions feature high-quality color inkjet to produce ballots along with other election materials. Ballots are fed into a inserter system. File-based processing ensures ballots are accurately assembled. The voter address and unique IMB is printed on each outbound envelope, while the return envelope is printed with election information along with the unique IMB. To optimize postage discounts, the outbound envelopes are pre-sorted. The sorter scans an image of each ballot packet and the IMB. The outgoing mail ballot packets are tracked through the USPS using the IMB, providing security and transparency. The IMB on the return ballot allows it to be tracked back to the election official. Return ballot envelope is validated by scanning the voter identification and signature and matching it to the voter signature in the voter registration database. The sorter prints a date and timestamp and opens a return ballot envelope as it sorts them by precinct, district, or batches so they are ready for tabulation. ReliaVote software updates the voter registration system to indicate the ballot was received to avoid any duplication. ReliaVote. Proven, trusted, secure.
That's a damn lie. Proven, trusted, secure, my ass. Look like they dropped the ball. Or was that a part of the play the whole time? I don't know, family. Y'all tap in. Let's talk about this in the comments, because in theory and based off what they just showed us, okay, yeah, that looked cool. That may work. You know what I'm saying? But what's the reality in this? What's the functionality? Where's the testing? It ain't like y'all knew in advance what the date was going to be. Come on, this ain't a surprise situation. The same time frame every couple of years. What's really good? All right, so this is what he's saying right now. This is what I just showed y'all. It ain't working. It ain't doing what it's supposed to do. Let's go back to him.
Thank you.
If that makes sense. Yeah, I'm sorry I was unclear. They were in there to make the thing work.
Okay.
And, we certainly, as we would let, the board meeting concluded, we went on, but after the fact, we were not told in between that October date and then, of course, about a month later, the election itself, you know, at least I was not told that they did not get it to work. So, you know, somewhere along the line, and I am sorry, I can't remember exactly when it was, but I had asked the question, well, okay, well, you know, what did we do for signature verification? And the comment I got back was, which frankly at that time floored me, was, well, you know, we didn't do any.
Now look at that bullshit. So we see the machine. The machine is, we saw it say it's supposed to account for the signature. Had a little lays on there. I seen that part. Now, if y'all ain't go back and rewind to check it out. So they're under the impression, because a month before they had technicians in there, you know, they thinking everything is getting prepared to do what it do, right? So now here comes after the election, they're asking that he's trying to see how to certify this, asking about, well, how did you guys verify the signatures if this machine wasn't working? They ain't had no answer for that. That's a problem.
And I remember I forget where I was, you know, I was on a phone call. I forget exactly, and I apologize. It's been so long. But, you know, I do remember that comment that, you know, we didn't do any. Now, of course, I took that saying, all right, well, by law, you've got to do signature verification. You've got to at least have somebody looking at this. And one side of that is that whomever you have that is looking at and supposed to be, you know, verifying signature, that if there is no signature on the oath envelope, then how are you curing it, or what are you doing with them? And I remember going down, you know, on from that and said, well, you know, there weren't many, so we just sent them back out, and if they reply on time, then they'll get their vote counted. Well, I thought that was a little weak, but anyway, that's as I recall, that's what I was told.
Talk to him.
All right, sir.
Those are primarily, ladies and gentlemen, that was primarily in my mind and in my reasoning, why I was not comfortable, you know, in certifying.
All right,
makes sense.
And what was the vote on certification? What was the vote total on
Okay, make sure y'all listen to this part.
certification when the board voted?
Well, there were two in the board. You know, there's two Republicans, two Democrats, and then supposedly, which doesn't always work that way, an independent or a nonpartisan chair. The vote was 3 to certify and 2 against.
And that was for both certification votes?
That's yes. Yeah.
All right. And do you have an understanding of how much the Blue Crest system cost the county?
Yeah, I know. And again, I can't be precise, but it seems to me like the entire platform was a little over $1 million. $1
million goddamn dollars for that shit that didn't work for the county. Now, how many other counties use this same software, same machine? I wonder that.
Dollars.
And
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to clear my throat. To your knowledge, did they ever get it working?
To my knowledge, no. It obviously did not work leading up to and going through any of the 2020 elections. And it was not, I don't believe I don't believe it was working either, you know, for the runoffs that we had coming out of 2020 elections.
Did they ever get it working in a later election while you were on the board?
To my knowledge, no.
So he said he never saw it working prior, after, none of that shit. It wasn't working.
We had asked a couple of times and had gotten a response that no, but there was no pressure on them after the 2020 election and runoffs to do that.
Right, because it's already over.
Do you recall approximately how many absentee ballots were counted in Fulton County in the November 2020 presidential election?
Yeah, it was, I think, a few more than 147,000, as I recall.
Earlier, you testified that to your understanding, the votes could not properly be counted or lawfully be counted unless the signatures were verified. Was that your understanding at the time?
Yeah, yes, and yeah, I don't think there was any, to me, there wasn't ever any confusion about the fact that there was supposed to be, an attempt, a level of verifying signature. And I think that only bear out because if you get, and you get a few, maybe a handful of envelopes you get in that don't have a signature at all. So unless somebody's looking at it, you wouldn't know that. Now, do I know? Never got the answer. I have no earthly idea how many absentee by mail ballots were sent back to voters because they were trying to cure it for lack of signature or otherwise. Number was never divulged to me anyway.
All right.
Hey, so we heard it here first, people. He literally sit here and told us, this is from a testimony from somebody who works. This is his job to vote on he's basically QA for the election process within Fulton County, where this is all going down. He's literally saying the reason why he voted twice to not certify this election is because they had over 140-some thousand mail-in votes that was supposed to go through the same software that was not working, that he nor anybody else in his office had ever verified that it was working. Come on now. That's what they call reasonable doubt. Some ain't right. So why they trying to pin Trump with this? Like, at the party, we ain't for neither side. We just about showing our people the way so we can look at everything evenly, because right now they just tell us to do anything the Democrats say, but we ain't supposed to look into stuff for ourselves and really come up with our own judgment. I mean, this stuff is getting paid for by us, the people. You feel me? So we need to know what's going on. So check this out. I'm going to show you why. This is why this is important, because the stuff that was actually going on, right? And this is just Fulton County. So how many other places you think this was happening at? Come on now. We got to be for real. This wasn't just no isolated incident. These folk been having problems with technology, with voting. And, think about it. How many times has this happened? Way too many to count, right? But let's go over here. I'm finna read something to you. You know how we do over here. And we gonna further prove how this just ain't no coincidence. All right, so hold on. Pull it over to screen 3. We're gonna get it rocking. All right, let me blow it up a little bit for y'all. I'm gonna do the honors. So this is what it say: Biden wins Georgia, ending long losing streak for Democrats. Now this came out in 2020 now. So Joe Biden has won Georgia, scoring a rare win in a southern state that hasn't backed a Democrat for president in nearly 30 years. The Associated Press declared Joe Biden the winner of Georgia and its 16 electoral college votes on Thursday after state election officials there said had a hand tally of ballots cast in the presidential race confirmed the former vice president leads President Donald Trump by roughly 12,000 votes out of nearly 5 million counted. Now listen to this again now. This sound crazy. Come on, get me out of there. This sound crazy. Let me go over it one more time just so y'all don't miss it. Hold on. We gotta touch this. So what he said is they hand counted them. Let's go to what this gentleman was just saying. Hand counted them, and they came up and said that 12,000 votes is what he won by. 12,000. When Buddy literally just said over 147,000 mail-in votes was casted. Now, come on now. Come on now. Y'all got to talk to your boy now. Your homeboy with the news. I'm just reporting and doing my research and bringing it to y'all so we can talk about it. But hey, something don't sound right. So y'all let me know. Is this just a coincidence? Is this a conspiracy theory? However you want to view it, let's talk about it in the comments, man. Appreciate all the love that y'all been giving to the channel. Go watch the whole, for those of y'all who really with this, go watch the whole the whole testimony. And it's way more details. I just didn't want to be on here for hours trying to break this down. I'm your homeboy with the news. I'm gonna bring it to you, but y'all gotta do some work too now. All right. So look, we gonna stay on this. We gonna keep breaking down the details. Like always, y'all keep it positive, keep it pushing. I'm out of here till next time, y'all. Peace.
This is all the love I had. I can't get it back, I won't get it back, Gave all the love I had. One motherfucking three, nigga. I can't get it back, I won't get it back. This is all the love I had.